the Mushroom Island, possibly Minecraft's most unique and iconic biome. With giant mushrooms littered about, purple mycelium beneath your feet, and the lovable mushrooms that call it home, it's hard not to call this biome your favorite. This biome has seen a good few changes over the years, but none have been as dramatic as the World Gen shakeup in 1.18. After its release, it was plain to see that the whole game was changed, Mushroom Island included. They were now much larger on average and could stretch hundreds of blocks, far larger than they ever could before. Ever since 1.18 dropped, a 4-year-long battle has been raging. Many seed finders, all with unique ambitions, techniques, and motives, have been fighting to find the largest instances of this biome ever seen. This is a history of the largest mushroom islands in Minecraft. Let's take a step back and set the stage for a moment. This video will get very technical, and I'd like to ease you all in slowly to the madness that is to come. In Minecraft 1.18, biomes generate according to 5 climate noise maps. Each one controls a different aspect of the biomes, from their temperature to their height, but the noise map we will be looking at today is continentalness. Continentalness controls the shape of the land masses, the gradient from land to ocean, from ocean to deep ocean, and from deep ocean to Mushroom Island. The Mushroom Island is unique in that it only has one climate requirement to generate, a continentalness value below -1.05. Negative 1.05 is a very low value, and since climates get rarer and rarer the further from zero you go, this leads to a very rare biome indeed. But this single rare criteria is the Mushroom Island's greatest strength. With no other climates to get in its way, a single patch of low continentalness could lead to the biggest Mushroom Island ever found. After the release of the 1.18 update on November 30th of 2021, people were itching to get their hands on the brand new world gen that Minecraft had to offer. Just 4 hours after the release of the update, a seed finder named Random Minecraft Videos found this randomly generated world and posted it to his YouTube channel. This was the very first seed posted after the release of 1.18 to be posted for its Mushroom Island, and thus takes the record by default. This is our very first record, standing at only 190,000 blocks squared. Just a day later, on December 1st, another YouTuber you may have heard of before, Kirby80, posted a video containing 10 seeds for the new 1.18 update. Seed number 6 in that video, randomly generated and picked out for its woodland mansion, was also noted to have a mushroom island to the northwest of spawn. Standing at 840,000 blocks squared, this island is over 4 times as large as the last, but the size improvements would not stop there. 4 days pass, and on December 5th, a Reddit user named Hiruzawa posts a seed with an island at a size of 1.5 million blocks squared. This seed was found randomly generating worlds with the popular seed viewing website Chunkbase, and breaks the first of many million block barriers. This island was the first so far to be noted for its large size, and stands at nearly twice the size of the previous record by Kirby80. December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2021. Starmute, the founder of the popular mod development team Stardust Labs, has been performing the first program-based search for mushroom islands in 1.18. This was about as simple as it can get, a carpet script in the S-Carpet scripting language that flood fills to look for large patches of the biome. On this day, he finds a seed with a 2.5 million block island, breaking the 2 million block barrier, and posts it on Twitter, where it gains a good bit of traction. This find marked a notable shift in how these records would be broken. Simply randomly generating worlds won't cut it anymore, and new tactics for finding these islands would need to be developed. Starmute's record would prove difficult to beat. Nearly 5 months would pass before someone had gained the required skill and methods to beat it. Enter Cherof. Cherof is a downright legendary seed finder, one of the most experienced and knowledgeable people in the community, and he was taking a crack at finding the new largest mushroom island. He would be the first to utilize a crucial tool for the development of the search, QBiomes Viewer. QBiomes is a program developed by Cubitek that allows you to search for certain features in the world, be that all biomes in 1,000 blocks, the weirdest structures you've ever seen, or the largest mushroom islands in the game. Cherof started out with a fairly basic search structure, looking for a large square block of the biome in the very center of the world. While inefficient today, in this early era of the search, this was groundbreaking. He was able to set 4 records in just 4 months. On May 12th of 2022, he broke the 3 million block barrier with a 3.15 million island. Then, in July, he broke the record twice, with a 3.21 million on July 3rd and a 3.29 million on July 11th. Then he capped off his streak with a huge 3.73 million on August 7th, further increasing his lead over everyone else. But Cherof wouldn't be the only one with a record this year. Nell S., another legendary seed finder, had been searching for seeds with far spawns for quite some time. Due to the way the spawn algorithm works, the game does not want to spawn the player in regions with low continentalness, as that would spawn the player in an ocean. Thus, to look for far spawns, Nell S. needed to look for a large area of very low continentalness. Sound familiar? By accident, while looking for far spawns, Nell S. had found the newest mushroom island, a 3.83 million, on December 30th of 2022. Cherof would strike back with his own climate-backed search. You see, searching for climates is a lot faster than computing biomes. 5 climates go into a biome, so one climate is roughly 1/5 of the speed that a biome search would take. With help from Nell S. and Cracked Magnet, Cherof added in a QBiomes condition looking through climates to supercharge his search, and found a 3.93 on March 4th of 2023. Nell S. wasn't done with his far spawn projects, though. The search for far spawns was put on Microboink, a platform for users to pool their compute power and search through seeds together. Once again by accident, a new record mushroom island was found, solidly breaking the record with a 4.35 million island and breaking the 4 million block barrier. But this is where the story takes a bit of an odd turn. Who actually found this island? There were 8 users contributing computing power to this search, and who found which seed was not recorded. Thus, the true discoverer of this record is unknown. The 8 possible users to have found it are Philip DE, Boysanic, Derm, Meox, Sunday, Acebase, MPM, and one anonymous user. It will never be known who truly found this seed, but the record stood to be beaten nonetheless. Cherof had to make a move, and he decided to utilize climates further than anyone had before. Instead of searching for a block of Mushroom Island, he would now sample an area to look for a very large amount of continentalness low enough to produce the biome. This was a drastic improvement. The block of Mushroom Island was slow to compute and excluded any islands with even one too many blocks of ocean. This new search was faster and more free form, and as such, was far more capable. On June 1st, Cherof barely squeezed past the previous 4.35 record with a 4.40 million. But on June 9th, he would completely shock the seed-finding community. His search had just delivered a 5.41 million block island. He had absolutely demolished the 5 million barrier and increased the record by a full million blocks. It was finally time for him to rest on his laurels. After this record, the search entered a sort of dark age. Cherof's record was just too good. Nobody was on his level, and beating him seemed nigh impossible. No new record was found for over a year. Well, that isn't exactly the case. Up until now, we've been exclusively talking about the default Minecraft world gen that we all know and love. What happens when you take this search to large biomes? Nobody had bothered to answer this question until the very end of 2023. A seed finder would open up a whole new category and kick off a series of events that would lead straight to the development of the most advanced Mushroom Island search programs we have today. Way back in 2023, I was just dipping my toes into seed finding. I had discovered the QBiomes Viewer program, but had next to no idea how to use it. I was totally unaware of the wider seed finding community for a good while. In December, I had the bright idea to search for huge mushroom islands. Inspired by previous records in the 1.17 World Gen system, I came up with a very rudimentary search, looking for straight lines of nothing but Mushroom Island on every seed, and I was going big. Having started my Minecraft journey on PlayStation 3 edition, different biome sizes for different worlds didn't faze me, and so I decided large biomes would be the target of my search. On December 11th, I found an island that totally blew my mind, a 47.4 million block island. Now, large biome sizes are 16 times larger than their small biomes equivalent, so this was only a 2.9 million block in small biomes. But since biomes are totally shuffled between large and small biomes in 1.18, and since nobody until now had even bothered to look for an island in large biomes, this was a record. I kept on with the simple method of a Mushroom Island line. I wasn't totally aware of the gravity of these finds, so I didn't keep dates for the next few records. All I know from my old notes is that I found this 56.5 million block island, and then this 60.7 million block island. After this though, I tweaked my methods a bit. Instead of looking for a big mushroom line, I looked for a mushroom island at the center of the world and then used a biome samples condition to measure the amount of mushroom island in the surrounding area. This improved my search quite a lot, and I found a 64.4 on an unknown date, a 66.2 on February 7th of 2024, and a 70.5 on March 23rd. Then, I independently discovered climates in a very inefficient way. I was using the climate parameters condition to search for low continentalness, which unfortunately searched temperature and humidity before doing continentalness. I wouldn't discover the locate climate extreme condition until a good bit later, but for now I kept trying to improve what I had. The search for low continentalness at a single point was much better than searching directly for the Mushroom Island biome. It was much faster and could detect nearby islands instead of just ones overlapping my search point. This found me a 71.5 million on April 6th, still nowhere near the small biome size of Gero's 5.41. Then, I joined the r/Minecraft Seeds Discord server. Here, I pleaded for help with improving my search from anyone with Hue biomes experience. Believe it or not, Chero, the current record holder for small biomes, was the one to try and help me out. He taught me about Locate Climate Extreme, which I could utilize to immensely speed my search up. But Locate Climate Extreme wasn't the only thing he taught me about. Let's take a step further into the deep end that is Mushroom Island seed finding tech and talk about noise octaves. As you all know by now, continentalness controls mushroom islands. But what controls continentalness? Continentalness is a Perlin noise map, but it's actually 18 smaller Perlin noise maps in a trench coat. Meet octaves. Octaves are like the tiny layers making up the full picture of continentalness, each one sharpening the final image until you get the full picture. Taking the values of every octave and adding them together gives you the final continentalness value. There are 18 of these octaves, and they follow a simple naming scheme: 0A, 0B, 1A, 1B, etc. Not all of these octaves are created equally, and that is the beauty of searches involving them. Octaves near the beginning, like 0A, have much higher values, and as such are far more important to the final picture than later octaves like 8B. Every octave takes a similar amount of time to compute, so only searching the early octaves gives you a mostly complete picture at a fraction of the time. Using this new technology, Chero was able to skyrocket my search speed. Once Chero was done helping me design a session to find more records, I was off on my merry way, armed with the tools I needed to find yet more records. I found a 72.7 million on June 4th, a 72.9 on June 24th, and then I struck the jackpot. In every field of competition, there are lucky records. Minecraft seed finding is no exception. I found a 91.6 million island, blowing all the way past the 80 million barrier and jumping nearly 20 million blocks from the last record. This island was even big enough to beat out Gero's 5.41 million, sitting at the small biomes equivalent of a 5.72. I was overjoyed. This was the record of my dreams. But my satisfaction would quickly fade. I had an insatiable hunger for bigger and bigger islands, and I headed back to the r/Minecraft Seeds Discord server in the early hours of July 17th to seek further help. Little did I know, my hubris would be my downfall. Chero had several new ideas to test out and compile into a session to increase the search speed, and he put everything together for a short test run to see what it could turn up. Miraculously, he found a new record. July 17th, a 92.5 million block island. I was heartbroken. My insane 91.6 million, broken just a few short weeks later by an even bigger island. But this heartbreak gave me the drive I needed to completely revolutionize the search. I completely tore Chero's search session apart, over and over again. I found out what worked, what didn't, and how to improve everything I possibly could. I was min-maxing everything. When you have to use Desmos to graph Minecraft seed searching, you know it's getting real. Around this time, I also began the large Mushroom Island spreadsheet, still in use to this day. Most of this time period centered on the interplay between efficiency and speed. Speed is pretty obvious. How many seeds can you search every second? Efficiency is much less obvious. It's the number of potential results you can find per seed. Multiply these together and the seeds themselves fall away, leaving behind raw results per second, which, when you think about it, is really the only thing that matters in a search like this. Typically, one will come at the cost of the other. You can make a speedy session, but it will miss results, or you can make a thorough session that is very slow. Balancing them perfectly is key. After a lot of hard work and testing, I was satisfied with my final product. I had created a session I dubbed Omission, the official Mushroom Island search session including only necessities. It was shockingly fast and could be easily scaled down to look for islands in small biomes as well. Searching with Omission in small biomes is what one seed finder, Meox, utilized to find a new record, finding a 5.68 million on August 7th and putting an end to Cherof's year-long reign in the small biomes category. She kept searching, and all the while, I was constantly improving Omission for the both of us, one searching large biomes, the other small biomes. On December 2nd, she found a 5.88 million. These may just sound like bigger and bigger numbers to the casual viewer, but these islands get exponentially rarer the further in size you go, and it was getting harder and harder to find islands of this size without new technology. This 5.88 million was the last record before I found something that sped the search up immensely. When QBiomes looks at a seed, it has a lot of work to do. First, it needs to initialize the climate values that match to your seed. This takes a good bit of time and shaves off mere fractions of a millisecond per seed. Now, that may not sound like much, but when you're searching millions of seeds per second to find the biggest mushroom islands, it adds up. My solution to this was not a stroke of pure genius, but a stroke of pure luck. I had no idea this initialization time was even an issue, but I stumbled on a way to fix it nonetheless. When messing around with Omission one day, I tried hooking the entire session up to a huge spiral iterator. A spiral iterator will take every condition that follows it and repeat the set of conditions in a grid with a desired step length. Doing this means you can search as many points on one seed as you want, and you only have to do the initialization calculations one time. This tanked the speed of the search. I was now searching 81 points on every seed. But crucially, this was not 81 times slower. Because of the cut down on initialization, it was more like only 20 to 30 times slower. Since I was getting 81 shots at the record on every seed now, the gains in efficiency more than made up for it, making the overall results per second nearly 4 times faster. Then, on February 17th of 2025, I finally did it. I dethroned Cherof's large biomes record with my own 101.7 million island, the first 100 million ever. For a long time, an island this big was thought to be completely impossible, but here I was, standing on the shoulders of giants with a 100 million block island. I was elated, and around this time, February 23rd, Meox's small biome search turned up a 6.12 million, the first ever 6 million block island. It seemed like the sizes had nowhere to go but up, and I began sharing Omission with the wider public where it caught the eye of a seed finder named Zenith. Zenith, like Nellas before him, had become fascinated with far spawns. Also, like Nellas before him, he had accidentally stumbled upon a huge mushroom island during his far spawn searches with a 4.34 million island. Nowhere near the record, but big enough to spark wonder for Zenith, who had no idea mushroom islands could get this big. He took a break from far spawns to join me and Meox in searching for large islands, and on May 10th, he found a 6.25 million block island. He posted this island on Reddit where it went viral, getting 11,000 upvotes and becoming the 11th most upvoted post on the Minecraft Seeds subreddit. Stretching the game's limits even further, I found a 103.8 million on July 24th. At this point, it was becoming clear to the few Mushroom Island searchers that we were nearing a limit. It had taken me 5 months to improve the record by little over 2 million blocks. My next goal after 100 million was 120, and even seed finders familiar with the search, like Zenith, thought this was a pipe dream. The search was losing steam, and islands were becoming harder and harder to find. We needed a revolution. Luckily, one came to us. On July 31st, just 7 days after my previous record, a 109.4 million block island, over 2 million blocks away from spawn, was posted out of nowhere by a seed finder named Andrew who had never participated in the search. Everyone was in shock and nobody knew how he did it. 4 days later, on August 3rd, he dropped a 117.8 million, and in the very same message, a 6.46 million and 6.79 million for small biomes. And the massive seed lists he posted were nearly 1,800 seeds big enough for the spreadsheet, which now had to be completely revamped. Nobody knew what was happening or what the future would hold, but just a few hours later, he sent the code he ran to find these behemoth islands. So let's break down the program that started the modern era of the search, Commission. Commission stands for CUDA Optimized Massive Mushroom Island Standalone Search, including only necessities. The first two words here give a lot of the info away. CUDA Optimized. This program ran with CUDA, a platform allowing C++ code to be run on NVIDIA GPUs. GPUs are far faster than the CPUs typically used for seed finding. They're designed to have several simultaneous operations happen in lockstep with one another. This makes it blazingly fast. Commission is basically just Omission, but for GPUs, with some minor improvements. But the GPU search gave nearly 20 times more results per second. Now that the code was available to the public, the race was on to try and blow everyone else out of the water. Around this time, the project got its own channel in the Minecraft at Home Discord server. This made the search far more popular, and with the new tech and searchers pouring in, an absolute frenzy of records began. Some people were running it on their own GPUs, some people were running it for free on Google Colab, but the goal was the same: find a record before anyone else can. On August 17th, the bloodshed started. Boysanic, the current owner of the Minecraft at Home Discord, found a small biome 6.88 million. On the 20th, I once again took the record for large biomes with a staggering 125 million. Techo found a 6.92 million small biomes on the 21st. Cherof joined the search once more and found a 6.95 for small biomes just 3 days later. On September 1st, Boysanic once again took the record and finally broke the 7 million barrier with a 7.33. Then, the very next day, September 7th, he broke the record again with a 7.43. When the dust settled, we had gotten 6 records from 4 seed finders in just 16 days. After this flurry of records came a short break. Commission had now raised the record by over 1 million blocks in just over a month. Anyone skilled enough to actually understand the program was now wondering how to improve it, because anyone that could do so would have a huge leg up on everyone else. Meox, former record holder and skilled programmer, set her sights on making a new program, Method to Find Mushrooms Existing Overworld, or MTF-MEOW for short. Yes, that was the actual acronym. As this development was going on, she was looking deeper into the code for octaves than anyone else had before, and came across a really weird discovery. See, I didn't tell the complete truth to you before. Octaves are 2D maps of Perlin noise, but they don't start out that way. Before they're a 2D plane, octaves are actually 3D, and for every octave on every seed, Minecraft takes a random slice of this cube to use for its octave. Now, due to the way octaves work, slices taken from the edges of this cube versus ones taken from the center look very different. Octaves near the edges are boring and monotonous. We call these smooth, and the ones near the center have very wild extremes, which we call crunchy. Now, on September 14th, me and Meox were looking over crunchy versus smooth octaves when it hit us. Could this be used for Commission? Octaves having wild extremes of noise, quick computation speed? This could be huge for the search if you could implement it correctly. It turns out, we very much could. See, if enough of the big continentalness octaves are crunchy, the entire noise map starts to look crunchy. This environment is very conducive to large mushroom island formation, because the wild extremes caused by crunchiness have a chance to stack and form massive mushroom islands. Upon looking further, we found that nearly every small biome seed in the top 30 largest was very crunchy, and in fact, 70% of them were in the top 8% of the most crunchy seeds. Crunchiness is very quick to compute, and when used right, could speed the search immensely, and so we immediately notified the rest of the searchers of our finds. Everyone was hopeful about this new discovery, but Andrew and MC Pseudogravity took quick interest in it. Soon, they were churning out complicated graphs of all sorts in an attempt to increase efficiency further. While doing this, they came upon 2 more new technologies, vectors and noise looping. We've talked about how continentalness is made up of octaves, but what are octaves made of? Well, octaves are made of a huge grid of vectors that then get smoothed into noise through various algorithms. This smoothing is slow, but looking directly at the vectors could be much quicker, so Andrew and MC Pseudogravity set to work gathering statistics on this. In conjunction with this, they also took advantage of the fact that octaves themselves loop after a certain number of blocks. This looping number, or tile size, is different per octave. If you find a promising candidate on 0,0 on a certain octave, you can take that octave, find its tile size, and then step out across the world by 1 tile size every step, and end up on the same promising candidate once more, effectively getting them for free without ever directly testing the area. Armed with these 3 new technologies, crunchiness, vector sampling, and noise tiling, Andrew made a new version of Commission 1.1. Before he released it, however, he was going to do a little searching with it. On September 16th, he found a 7.60 million block island, a new record and unthinkable even 3 months ago. Then, the next day, he found 3 more records. That's right, 3 in one day. On September 17th, he found a 7.71 million and a 7.98 million, just barely short of breaking the 8 million barrier. But the next record he found completely blew everyone away. A mind-boggling 9.20 million block island, completely skipping the 8 million block barrier, shattering both it and the 9 million barrier with 1 seed. This was completely insane. The search had gotten to levels previously thought totally impossible, all thanks to the work of the incredible seed finders trying to improve it. For large biomes, he searched over the next 2 days, turning up a 127.0 on September 18th and a 131.9 on September 19th. These were great finds, but they were nothing compared to that 9.20. Everyone was eager to get their hands on Commission 1.1, but Andrew didn't release it just yet. For one reason or another, he kept it for himself. Until one fateful day on November 27th, he released it, and the most powerful Mushroom Island finder known to man was in the hands of the public once more. Results were immediate. 8 million islands were pouring in from all over the place. Seed finders like Damduck, Braden, XVoid879, Meox, and Arch were all duking it out to find new records. During this time, people started tracking records in progress more thoroughly than before. After all, with faster searches come more islands. Arch, for example, would end up amassing a list of over 13,000 7 million block islands, which was used extensively for statistics and data. This huge influx of results from numerous people was a driving factor behind the improvements during this time, but that 9.20 was going to prove pesky to beat, so the first new finds came from the large biomes category. On December 4th, a record was broken. Actually, 2 records were broken, but not the 2 you might be thinking of, large and small biomes. I had found a new large biomes record, an absurd 152.1 million block island, shooting all the way past the 140 and 150 million barriers. But this island broke a second record for the biggest ever jump in island size. The jump Andrew's 9.20 million island had made was a jump of 1.22 million blocks. My jump from Andrew's 131.9 to a 152.1 was, when scaled down to small biomes, a 1.26 million block jump. And when scaled down to small biomes, my island was even bigger, a 9.51. This record was completely insane, and everyone knew that the current records were going to be very hard to beat. The large biomes record was beaten the very next day. December 5th, my 152.1 million record had no idea it was about to get wiped off the map. When I checked my PC for results, I saw a number beginning with 16. This was ridiculous. The biggest size jump ever, immediately followed by another huge 10 million block jump? This island was 163.4 million blocks squared, and was totally absurd for its time. If you had told me from 2024 that at the end of the next year we would have 160 million block islands, I would have fainted. Not only was this a huge jump, but it was a 10 million equivalent for small biomes. Would the 10 million barrier, long thought to be completely out of reach, be broken soon? 4 days later, December 9th, Meox finds a new record for small biomes. Was it at 10 million? Had the final order of magnitude finally been reached? Sadly, no. It was a 9.89, a record by a comfortable margin, but just barely short of 10 million. We were oh so close. We all knew it was coming at some point. It was just a matter of time, right? December passed, then January. By the end of February, we were all getting concerned. So many searchers, and yet no new records. Were we finally hitting a limit again? Not quite. On the very last day of the month, February 28th, a newcomer to the search, Glowing Gavin, would be our savior. He had done it, a 10.07 million block island. Everyone was awestruck, the 10 million barrier broken. How much higher could it get? Again though, we entered a bit of a slow period. March came and went, but in early April, a new programmer became active in the Large Mushroom Islands channel in the Minecraft at Home Discord. This was Lithadora, a skilled programmer who had taken an interest in Commission. While Lithadora was tinkering with the inner workings of the program, another skilled programmer and seedfinder, Estradying, had an interesting project of her own. You see, climate noise doesn't stop at the world border. It, and biome generation as a whole, keep going. Due to the way octaves loop, at very, very long distances, the entirety of the continentalness noise map loops. The largest area you can search without it looping is called the continentalness tile, and Estradying was curious about whether searches across the whole thing would be realistic. Since looping and tiling of the smaller octaves are such a big part of the efficiency of Commission 1.1, she decided to extend it all the way out to the end of the continentalness tile, which, for large biomes, is over 300 million blocks away from the center of the world. The results were pretty immediate. A cursory run on my CPU had yielded a 10.02 million island for small biomes. That would be second place, but it was far outside the world border. It could easily be seen on a seed map, but viewing it in-game required a mod to remove the world border and extend the playable area of the game. Part of Estradying's new program, called Shroom Unbounded, was a size check on only the 0A and 0B octaves, filling the area and seeing if it's a valid candidate for further testing. Lithadora saw this and had a spark of genius, taking Estradying's flood fill technology and plunging it into Commission 1.1 as another filter. This led to the release of Commission 1.2, released on April 27th and claimed to be about 6 times faster than 1.1. Lithadora's first run of the program on the very next day, April 28th, found 2 new small biomes records, a 10.13 by a small margin and a 10.89 by a very not small margin. The floodgates were opened for new records once more, but this wouldn't be the only shake-up to the meta of Mushroom Island seed finding that day. I had been running a search for out-of-bounds islands for large biomes, and on April 28th, I found a 164.3 million island that was over 170 million blocks away from spawn. Nobody was really sure what to do with this. It was technically a new large biomes record, beating out my old 163.4, but what was the use of it if it was 170 million blocks away and 140 million away from being accessed in vanilla? In the end, we decided to add 2 new categories to the spreadsheet we had been maintaining, USB and ULB, for unbounded small biomes and unbounded large biomes. These would hold all of the records that were outside the world border, and that 164.3 million on April 28th was the first record in the new Unbounded Large Biomes category. What followed after the advent of unbounded searches in Commission 1.2 was nothing short of the biggest activity and record boom ever seen, fueled by many new and old seed finders searching with several new versions of the program. On April 29th, I found another unbounded large biomes record at 173.3 million blocks, further cementing unbounded categories as a competitive search field. Just a day later, on April 30th, Braden, a longtime searcher, got his first small biomes record, a 10.97, ever so close to that 11 million block barrier. On May 7th, Braden broke that barrier with an 11.16 million. That very day, Zenith found a new large biomes record at 169.1 million blocks, beating my old 163.4 million that had stood for over 4 months. The next day, Zion6118, a newcomer to the search, found a 171.0 million for large biomes, which unfortunately took out Zenith's shiny new record after only 1 day. On May 13th, the same seed finder, Zions, broke the ULB record with a 173.9. Then, the next day, May 14th, he found an 11.51 unbounded small biomes, the first record in that category, now holding records in 3 out of the 4 categories after only searching for a week. Then, just a day later, on a 3-day streak now, Zions yet again broke a record with a 177.5 unbounded large biomes. This newcomer to the search seemed nearly unstoppable. On May 17th, someone finally took back the reins, and Zenith struck back with a 176.8 million, besting Zions and setting a record that still stands today for large biomes. The very same day, however, Zions would fire off yet another record, a 186.1 for unbounded large biomes. People began to comment on the speed Zions was able to find records at, but we all brushed it off as a combination of luck and his superior hardware, being that he was running the search on a 4070 GPU, far outclassing the rest of us. After a short break in progress, on May 28th, Cactus, a well-known member of Minecraft at Home, claimed to improve Commission by a nearly 2x speed increase, releasing Commission 1.3c. On that same day, May 28th, Ziones found an 11.30 million SB, his 6th record in an insanely short time period, and people were beginning to get suspicious of the sheer speed that he was getting finds at. On May 29th, Ziones6118 released 1.3Z, a fork of 1.3C that he had been using, which was purportedly much faster and worked for Unbounded Small and Unbounded Large biomes. A precursor to this was what he had been using to find so many records, with several improvements to filters and throughput putting him over the edge. This explained everything, confirming that something was indeed up with his finds and that he didn't just have the fastest 4070 in the West. Now that Ziones' superweapon was in the hands of the public, the floodgates were truly open, and things only get crazier from here. On May 30th, Glowing Gavin, the seed finder to break the 10 million block barrier, comes back and finds an 11.37 for small biomes, barely taking the record from Ziones, and in the same breath, he finds a staggering 12.0 for unbounded small biomes, breaking the 12 million block barrier for unbounded searches. On June 1st, Ziones released 1.3.1z, claiming yet more improvements. The next day, June 2nd, Gavin uses the new 1.3.1z to find an 11.53 million, yet another small biomes improvement. A day later, on June 3rd, Ziones came in with 1.3.2z, and his efforts to make blindingly fast improvements to the program were not going unnoticed. Once again, just a day later, on June 4th, Arch, another longtime contributor to the project, finally got his first small biomes record, an 11.82 million. After having compiled a list of 13,000 7 million islands back in the Commission 1.0 days, Arch definitely deserved the record he had finally claimed. That same day, I found a new Unbounded Large Biomes record at 186.7, barely squeezing past Ziones and only beating him by 600,000 blocks, one of the smallest Unbounded Large Biomes record increases ever. On June 6th, 1.3.3z was released with yet more speed increases, and on that day, I blew past the 190 million barrier with a 195.2 for ULB. There are very few records in this list that carry as much weight as this next one. Jirau's 5.41 million back in the earliest days of the search, Andrew's insane jump through the 8 and 9 million barriers, and my record-breaking 152.1 with a jump of over 20 million blocks had all been leading up to this. While looking at my results from June 7th, I found a 196.5 in my output. A new record, but I was used to it. After all, just that last 7 days had yielded 4 new records, so I wasn't too excited. I jotted down the seed and coordinates in the spreadsheet and sent a command to our trusty mushroom bot, the final size checker, for a perfectly accurate count to put in the sheet. As it was running, I jokingly replied to the progress message, saying it needed to hurry up and that I had a message to send showing off the find to the main siege channel of the server. Not even 5 seconds after that joking message was sent, the bot completed its calculation, and everyone who had been eagerly awaiting the total size count of the new record was absolutely blown away by what they saw. A 207.9 million block unbounded large biomes island. The third biggest size jump ever, completely shattering the 200 million block barrier and nearly hitting a 13 million size in small biomes terms. Everyone in the channel lost their minds. 200 million was a joked about threshold for so long, something that could never truly come to fruition, but here it was, staring right back at us. A 207.9 million block island, where the record stands today for unbounded large biomes, and to date, the largest mushroom island ever found in any version of the game. But why did it print out as a 196.5 million at first? It turns out this island, at nearly 37,000 blocks wide, was simply so long that it broke the final flood fill of Commission. Fitting that to break such a barrier, the program itself would have to break too. Yet more Commission versions would come out, and on June 9th, Boysanic would release Commission 1.3.4z and 1.3.5z, both of these improving quality of life issues as well as automatic per-system optimization. On June 11th, Fanda857, using an unreleased version of Commission made by Scriptline 1.3SL, found a new small biomes record at 11.97 million blocks, inching ever closer to the 12 million barrier. Psiones would then use another new version of Commission, 1.3.7z, to find a 12.38 million block island for Unbounded small biomes on June 15th, where the record for that category stands today. Then, just 3 days later, on June 18th, Fanda broke the small biomes record yet again, finally breaking through the 12 million barrier with a 12.04 million block island, where the record stands today for small biomes. With all 4 categories reaching absurd levels, we finally hit the present day. 4.5 years, 4 categories, 71 records, and Mushroom Island's bigger than the developers ever intended. From the early days, back when randomly generating worlds could net you a record, to the modern era where hundreds of hours of runtime on specialized hardware are required, it's been a very long and complicated journey, and I'm so glad I've been able to share the joy, wonder, breakthroughs, and excitement that all the searchers have been experiencing ever since the fateful day 1.18 was released. You may be wondering what will come next for this search and what future improvements will hold. We are always gaining more contributors to the search, but the future is, as of yet, hard to predict. All I know is that I've spent almost 3 years on this search, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. I sincerely hope you all enjoyed the video. This took ages to make, but it was an absolute blast, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content about Minecraft Seeds, and comment any video suggestions you may have, as I would certainly love to share more about some of my favorite aspects of this game and community with all of you. Thank you all so much for watching. It means the world to me. Goodbye, and may you have a wonderful day.